Hail and well met, traveller. In case you've been out of the loop, the other day, as I was casually minding my own business, doing Australia things, I got called out by a mean YouTuber called Jimmy Broadbent. Just because he has like 15 times the subscribers that I do, he believes he can call himself the king of the Nordschleife, all the while referring to me as a cheap packed lunch. Using the Mercedes F1, he initially set a lap time of 4 minutes, 59 seconds and casually dismissed my glorious warm-up laps. I quickly set him straight by setting a time of 4 minutes and 57 seconds before he took to his nefarious stream last night and set a time of 4:55.7. Halfway through this stream, driven by a final gusto of what can only be called odious devil energy, he managed a lap time of 4:52.9. Well, that's me completely out of the running. Or is it? As you can see, this lap was clearly run off camera for one simple reason. I didn't want to record myself for the 5 or 6 hours I predicted it would take to actually beat Jimmy's rather subpar lap time. You can see I had to use his dirty trick of starting here at the beginning of Dirtingahua, using the respawn trick to save myself an outlap of tire life and an outlap worth of fuel load so I can get the extra couple of tenths to match him with these dirty tricks. You see what I've had to stoop to in order to keep competing against characters of this caliber. Now, coming up towards Tiergarten here, already red on the Delta, not a good start. That's because I was experimenting with the low trim packages before, down to third this time. I'm usually about a gear higher now than my last runs. I'm running, of course, the medium aero trim. Nice positive Delta there, or negative as you will. Green Delta, let's call it that. Nice run through the Sabine Schmitz curve. Not the best that I've done, but I found it acceptable enough to keep going through down to Heusinkveld. No restart required. Now only 2 gears dropped here. Nice and neat. Not down to fourth like last time. Now through Heusinkveld. Got to keep it nice and neat. 3/10 up already. Oh, and I go a little bit wide and it cost me. It cost me 1/10 so far. Oh, 1/10 and a half. It seems like I'm gonna keep losing it down Flugplatz. It's the worst possible place to get a bad run out of. But, you know, it is what it is. You can see on the board I already have a 4:53.2. That's about 3/10 off Jim's time. But I'm not satisfied with this. I'm not satisfied with second place. I won't be satisfied being the queen of the Nurburgring. I need to be the king. Here we go. As we kind of gain and then lose a little bit on the exit there at Arenberg. Now, you're going to notice something very important happens here down at the Foxhole. I set my deployment at the exact same point as Jimmy, the exact same setting as Jimmy, so balanced 1-to-1. I'm not one of these nefarious characters you see. I have high moral fiber and character as I go through Adenauer Force with sheer perfection as we blast on through down to, I believe, Jimmy's favorite tree. Yes, it is. So all flat out here. Only 2 gears dropped on this corner, heading down into Sector 2 now. I've experimented with the low aero packages as well, but they completely massacre you through here. The Sector 2 section going downhill, the hit section, as well as Sector 3. You lose so many seconds there that you just cannot seem to regain on the straights. So back we are to the medium trim, the one that Jimmy suddenly jumped to without telling anyone else and then just pretending he was 5 seconds a lap quicker. Here we go, dropping 2 gears. Oh, 2 tires on the outside curb. I would not recommend doing that. Certainly not my intention. Now I'm hoping the balance thing deploys correctly. I experimented with a lot of different deployments through here. I experimented with attack. Oh, just had to snap it back a little bit. Turned in a little bit too early there. Still a positive Delta by the looks of it, or green Delta. Now if you keep the deployment to attack here, you can get an extra run to the end of the straight. But it just sucks the battery dry before you get to the end of the final straight on the track, which in the end just wasn't preferable for me. So balanced all the way for now it is. Really at this point, the tenths that we're looking at are less to do with our driving and more to do with the chess game of the RS deployment. So here we go, hard brake zone here coming up into the carousel. I go wide. I got a little bit overzealous with the braking, but I still salvaged it a little bit. You can tell with my astounding brake bias there as I go down to third, a gear higher again. I lose about 1/10 in the carousel. I wasn't fully committed. I was aware of my Delta. I was a bit afraid going into Sector 3 now. I knew I had to commit. And what can we do here? Oh, just a little bit of a drop. Down to fifth, a gear higher than last time. Delta's looking good. Gaining those tenths back slowly but surely. Now the medium trim definitely isn't as planted through here as the high trim. The high trim can definitely do some of these corners, just munch them. As we go down there in 6th, now through Brünnchen, down in 5th. Not as wide as last time, don't have the off tracks, you've got to count this lap. And of course, YouTube corner has cost me more than a few laps there. If you go over that curb, you are done for in the F1. Almost 9/10 up, even with the mistakes through Sector 2. So I'm thinking to myself, you know, what's possible? I'm starting to feel it physiologically. I mean, I'm operating close to the limits of what I physically can, and I'm shaking at this point. I'm just like, where do I take risks? Where do I hold back on risks? I don't mind necessarily sacrificing a 10th or two as I go just a little too narrow in there. I don't use the runoff completely in there as well. Cost me about half a tenth maybe. Definitely not as committed as I have been, but I know I need to get a good run out of here. Very, very important getting out onto Döttinger. As we get out there, get away from the bumpy stuff on the left, just like Jimmer. Again, high moral character, yes. As we blast on down through Döttinger, I am praying that my battery deployment continues. Even if it just stays at 81 there, it just means some battery is being drained. It may not be as much as I would like, but it's something. As we head down towards the Bilstein Bridge, I'm like, oh god, 8 tenths climbing. I'm gonna brake early. I know I'm gonna brake about a meter earlier here. I don't want to risk locking the brakes. That would be an unmitigated disaster. Not too bad, down to 3rd, 4th. I've dropped about a 10th, but we gained the 10th back on the final corner, and 4:52.4. Take that, King of the Nordschleife. More like King of Plebs, I say. No, but in all seriousness, I'm going to have the link to Jimmy's stream in the description down below. You guys have to see it if you haven't watched it. It's just a man grinding and sweating away for a lap time that he wholly earned. There's something noble about watching that. I've certainly done my fair share of it, like earlier today when I did this, but there's something very, very cool about somebody being that dedicated towards an outcome. I mean, I haven't drilled the Nordschleife this much since I first learned it in Project Cars 2 and kept trying to set top 10 leaderboard records with road cars. But guys, Jadier, Jimmy, please, for the love of God, just let it sit. Let me be the king for this weekend. Let us enjoy our weekends. Let's just resume this on Monday. I am drained from operating at the limits of human capability. Can we just leave it for a couple of days? Can we just sit on this? Can I enjoy my laurels just for a little while, and then, you know, we can get back to it whenever you guys want, but just let me enjoy it. Anyway, guys, I hope you all enjoyed that lap as much as I kind of enjoyed setting it. Until next time, which I'm sure will be sooner rather than later, I'll see you all then.